Hi everyone, it's Holly Marie King, and I'm here to share the confusing Kidnap Chapter 4. So let's get started. Chapter 4, A Plea for Help. So, John, will you help us? Helen asked as the group of four walked on to the next destination. John sighed. Well, if it'll get this guy off my back, then yes, he said as he jabbed his thumb at Burke. Why, I oughta. Burke began to advance onto John. Hey! I'm still mad at you for what you did in the town, John yelled. The two boys walked ahead, arguing the whole time. Helen walked up next to Allison. You're right, Allison. This trip won't be boring. Allison laughed. I told you. So, what's our next clue? Helen asked, looking over at Allison. Allison shrugged. John and Burke are supposed to know, but we should wait till someone wins that argument of theirs. It seems dangerous. Helen stomped her foot. Apparently we're two now. I don't care. We need to get this finished before we're found. Besides, I want you to have a body again, Allison. I think you deserve it. The problem is, you are either turning more good or more evil every day. I don't know. That is true, but you still don't trust me, do you? I'm getting there. The two girls smiled at each other. That does it. I can't take this anymore. I'm leaving. Goodbye. John started walking away from Burke, but got strung back when he walked too far away from the demon. Helen ran up to the two boys and put an arm around both their shoulders. You know what? We'd get this job done faster if you argued a lot less. Then you two could separate yourselves from each other for good, Helen said tactfully. She looked back at Allison and winked. So what happens, I don't know if I explain it later, but the spirit and the human can't be too far away from each other, so when they do this, they get shot back to each other. Yeah, that's what I pictured when I heard that. Really? Burke was asked excitedly. Helen nodded. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go! John walked forward after Helen stepped back, taking her arms off their shoulders. Helen and Burke, do you know what our next clue is? Helen asked. Yes, of course I do. Why? Burke asked. Allison floated over to the group. Well, we need it in order to find the next person, so we can continue on. I know you know that I could see it, she answered. Interesting. Fine, the next person is a painter, Burke said. Come on, slowpokes, we're almost to the next town, John exclaimed. I swear that guy gets on your nerves, Allison said. Now you know how I feel, Burke muttered as he disappeared. Allison sighed. You do realize that going in and out of people's sights is tiring, don't you? Well, then take a rest while you're in my head. Besides, Burke and John have to be attentive for this, and I need you so we can travel when I'm sleeping. That's why traveling is great with more than one person, Helen said. Allison laughed. Well, okay, if you will keep your eyes open, then I'll rest, she said as she disappeared. Hurry up, Helen, get the lead out, John yelled. Oh, coming! She ran to catch up with him. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I was getting behind. Whatever. Let's just get this over with, John said. He seemed to have heard something because then he added, after we find this painter, we have to find 8 more people? He whined. Helen realized she couldn't hear what Burke was saying when he was inside John's head. Her thoughts went to Allison, and she hoped Allison was okay. Well, at least once we find the painter, we will be able to go on to find the next person. However, when we get to the next town, let's stop to rest. Sounds like a plan, John walked on. Helen and John split up and asked about the town for a painter. They met up again, and they both only heard of 2 painters, so they went to go find them. The first was a man in his 20s. He wasn't it. So they went to go find the second painter. It was a girl who was painting the sunset. Excuse me, but could we have a word with you? Yes, but could you make it brief? You're making me lose my concentration, the girl said. Privately, Helen said. I don't paint pictures of naked people for the 100th time. The girl turned and continued to paint. Actually, I would like to talk to you about a curse and a cure, John said. The girl painted a streak of red across her painting at those words. Look at what you did, John, Helen said. Hey, she's the one who was painting, John said defensively. Well, you could have waited for her to be done painting first, Helen yelled. Enough, the painter yelled. Her voice echoed around them. How did you know about me being cursed? John looked around. Could we find a place where we could talk privately, he asked. Yes, We can go to my place, the painter said, and led the way to her home. She placed her painting on the floor and motioned for the two people to sit. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Rosie, will you keep our guest busy? Yes, of course. A ghost floated into the room. She needs to clean her brushes and stuff now, or she'll forget later. Oh, okay, John said. Helen had a knot in her stomach. She wished Allison was awake. She would know about these people. Allison was more wise than she let on, and Helen, despite her fear of Allison, had begun to depend on her. Excuse me, Helen stood. Where are you going? Rosie asked. I'm going to go for a walk. John, you know how to get me when you need me, right? Helen asked. Yes, I'm not that slow at learning, John said as he crossed his arms. Helen left the apartment and walked down the street. Helen had grown used to the darkness, but that was when she tried to cover as much ground as possible. She was getting anxious. Well, me and Rosie decided to ask either of you about what is going on, so I left Rosie to talk to your guy friend. Someone said behind her. Helen jumped to see the painter right behind her. Oh, it's you. You scared me, Helen said. You can separate yourself from your demon? Yes, can you? The painter asked. No, I can't go more than 5 feet away from Allison, and it's the same for John, Helen said. Oh, well, you said something about a cure? Oh, yes, you see, if we can get 11 cursed people together, then we can... Well, we have to wait till we find the 11th person. Each demon only knows one part of the prophecy, but no matter how small that part is, it is still important. So will you help us? Well, it would be nice to let Rosie be on her own. Plus, I would like to go on an adventure, but what the hey, I'll do it. The painter made up her mind. When do we leave? Right now. We travel by night because the vampire is tracking us, and he's good at what he does. The knot loosened a little bit, and Helen took a deep breath. John and Rosie appeared in one moment, but Rosie disappeared in the next. Let's get the lead out, people. We have to get out of here. All right, that's it for Chapter 4. Hopefully, I will leave in the link in the description below links to where you can buy the book if you're interested in the book. And also, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. I will be more than happy to answer them. All right, hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.